A year ago, the task force were charged with achieving two objectives. One was to explore the nature, the extent, the context of violence against women and girls in Jersey. The second was to provide findings and recommendations to government to help eliminate all forms of violence against women and girls across our island. Our research has been really broad and really deep across the entire system in Jersey. It recommends many changes that we need to see to reduce violence against women and girls. We all have a role in recognising, understanding and challenging abusive behaviour towards women and girls when we see it. We all need to want to see that change.
The rows were petty but constant and eroded my ability to define what was reasonable, normal, healthy. His mother joined in. I was wearing the wrong clothes, had looked someone the wrong way, and been too flirty, too cold, too loud. I'd put the wrong tomatoes in the dinner. I was a gold digger, despite being the higher earner, and I didn't keep the house right or defer to him enough. It was so gradual, though, that I wasn't fully aware of how abusive it had all become.
He would make me feel like I was the most important person in his life one minute, and then talk to me like I was dirty the next. He would belittle me in front of our friends and family, and it became more and more regular. He would expect a certain lifestyle he wasn't able to fund, and would guilt-trip me into giving him money a week after he got paid so he could go and get drunk with his friends. He would tell me if I didn't have sex with him, he would get it elsewhere. Some nights he would come home and lay into me about whatever it was I hadn't done well enough, like loading the dishwasher wrong. I would often pretend to be sleeping when he came home. On other occasions, I'd sit outside the bedroom and wait until he fell asleep before going to bed. I lived a life of walking on eggshells, and I didn't know one day to the next what he was going to do.
The findings have been very stark. The amount of people who have experienced harassment living here in Jersey has been even more than we would have expected. And also the mechanism for women and girls to report and get something done about what they've experienced is lacking in so many areas, which we knew anecdotally that there would be some deficiencies, but the amount of them and the breadth of them is something that has really worried us.
It's the level of VAWG being experienced by our children and young people. I think that surprised me from the findings and concerned me. What we're seeing is the high levels of misogyny, the messages that our children are receiving from a very, very young age, rather than receiving messages of empowerment and safety.
What stands out most for me in the findings is that the recommendations really do affect us all. Every single person who reads this report can take something from it, can do something to understand what's acceptable, what's not, and how to make a change so that people are safe.
One of the things that really stood out to me actually is just how pervasive, how common violence against women and girls still is across our society. It's such a common feature of the lives of most women and girls that it's simply the wallpaper to our lives.
Soon he was regularly physically abusive, drinking an entire bottle of Southern Comfort each night, plus beers. I had bald patches where my hair had been pulled out, bruises up and down my arms and legs, could barely look anyone in the eye without my heart racing. Something inside me had broken, and despite being unable to identify exactly when I had finally had enough, I knew I was ready to tell him I was leaving. He retaliated by hitting me whilst I held my son, something he had never done before, knocking us on the floor before taking my son from me, throwing me through the front doorway, kicking me further into the hallway before slamming the front door on my head that still lay in the doorframe and stamping on my spine for good measure. I called my last friend for help. It was both awful and a relief that she knew instantly what must have happened and came immediately to get me out and take me to the hospital. They were unable to get my son, though, and there was a standoff with police to get him to safety. I was taken to the women's refuge and began the road to rebuilding my life.
After suffering 13 years of verbal, physical, financial and sexual abuse, I finally made the decision to leave my husband. This led to an escalation of unpredictable behaviour which resulted in 7 major incidents being logged with the police. These were everything from forced entry to my home, assaulting me in front of my then 4-year-old son, threatening sexual violence to 2 of my co-workers, attempting to run me over when I refused to get in his car, and the list goes on. After 4 years of therapy, I was strong enough to report the sexual assault to the police. I showed them all the texts between me and my ex-husband and him confirming we had sex. Statements were taken from my friends, confirming my levels of intoxication, and it was even supported by social media pictures, but sadly, this was not enough for a conviction. After several months of waiting resulting in very serious and ongoing health issues, it still wasn't enough. This pattern of activity, I have learned, is all too common in Jersey, and there are many just like me that have survived these awful experiences, and we will never get justice. How bad does abuse have to get, when even rape is not enough?
This work is very important because we, Caritas, and our partner charities and agencies have seen the real trauma that so many women and girls have experienced here.
On a professional level, this will really help me deliver the strategy, the child sexual abuse and exploitation strategy. And then on a personal level, I'm female, I'm a mum of 2 daughters. I need to see change for them for the future. This can't continue.
I would like to see this work and the recommendations brought about from this report to make Jersey a safer place for everybody who lives and works in our island community. We all have a part to play in this. We can all help.
The task force would love to see government and key stakeholders adopt all 80 of our recommendations. Regardless, I really believe we have a fantastic opportunity, each and every one of us across the community, in whatever way we can become involved, in whatever way we can change mindsets, in whatever way we can reshape our part of the system. We have a fantastic chance now to reduce violence against women and girls, and if we choose to, actually become a world leader in eliminating violence against women and girls.